The meeting of minds, the vastness of space, had never felt so small to Captain Sarah Chun as she gazed through the viewport of Harmony Point Station. Somewhere beyond those distant stars lived the Velothi, a species whose reputation for peace had spread across half the galaxy. Today would mark humanity's first official contact with them, and Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. Nervous, Captain? Dr. Marcus Rivera adjusted his translation device for the third time in 10 minutes. The xenobiologist had spent months preparing for this moment, learning everything available about Velothi culture and biology. Not nervous, Sarah replied, smoothing her diplomatic uniform. Just aware of the weight of this moment. First impressions matter, especially when you're representing an entire species. The station's announcement system crackled to life. Attention, all personnel. The Velothi delegation's ship is approaching Docking Bay 7. All diplomatic staff, please prepare for first contact protocols. Sarah had read the files. The Velothi stood 12 feet tall, with willowy frames and six-fingered hands perfect for their art and music. They had achieved interstellar travel through pure scientific curiosity, never once using their technology for warfare. In a galaxy full of conflict and territorial disputes, they were an anomaly, a species that had somehow maintained perfect peace for over 1,000 years. The docking bay doors hissed open, and Sarah felt her breath catch. The Velothi were even more impressive in person. Elder Thane, Whisperwind, led the delegation, his silver-blue skin shimmering in the station's lights. His movements were graceful, almost floating, and his large amber eyes held a wisdom that seemed ancient. Behind him walked a younger Velothi with curious purple markings along her temples. Greetings, beings of Earth. Elder Thane's voice was like wind through tall grass, soft yet carrying easily across the bay. I am Thane, Whisperwind, speaker for the Velothi High Council. We come in the spirit of learning and understanding. Sarah stepped forward, grateful for the translation implant that converted her words into the musical tones of the Velothi language. Welcome to Harmony Point, Elder Thane. I am Captain Sarah Chun, representing the United Earth Alliance. We are honored by your presence. The young Velothi behind Elder Thane practically vibrated with excitement. Forgive me, she said, her voice like chiming bells, but I am Kira Starweaver, and I have studied your species extensively. Your literature speaks of such passion, such intensity of feeling. How do you channel such emotions without falling into chaos? Dr. Rivera smiled, recognizing a fellow scholar. We've learned to direct our passions toward creation rather than destruction. Art, science, exploration, even our conflicts often lead to innovation and growth. Elder Thane's large eyes fixed on Sarah with surprising intensity. Yet, your species has a reputation for violence. We have heard stories of great wars, of weapons that could destroy entire worlds. How do we reconcile this with the peaceful beings before us? The question Sarah had been dreading. She chose honesty over diplomacy. We are a species that learned peace the hard way, Elder Thane. Yes, we have fought wars. Yes, we have created terrible weapons. But we've also learned that our greatest strength isn't in destruction, it's in protection. We fight when necessary to defend those who cannot defend themselves. A soft alarm began to sound throughout the station. The peaceful moment shattered as emergency lights bathed the docking bay in red. The station commander's voice echoed through the speakers. All personnel to emergency stations. We have received a distress call from the Velothi Research Station, Tranquil Meadow. They are under attack by unknown hostiles. Kira's purple markings flared bright with distress. Tranquil Meadow. That's where my research team is studying quantum harmonics. There are over 300 researchers there, including younglings on their first deep space assignment. Elder Thane's serene composure cracked for the first time. Attack? But we have no enemies. We have never harmed anyone. Why would someone target our peaceful researchers? Sarah was already moving toward the command center, her military training taking over. Because peaceful doesn't mean protected, Elder Thane. Some beings see kindness as weakness to exploit. The command center buzzed with activity as reports streamed in. The attackers had identified themselves as the Krogar Raiders, a notorious pirate fleet that preyed on undefended targets. The Velothi research station had no weapons, no shields, no way to defend itself. Captain Chun, the station commander, turned to her. The nearest Velothi patrol ship is 6 hours away. These researchers don't have 6 hours. Sarah's jaw tightened. The human patrol ship Defiance was docked at Harmony Point, fully armed and ready for action, but interfering in an attack on another species' territory could create a diplomatic incident that might set back human-alien relations for decades. What are you thinking, Captain? Dr. Rivera could read the conflict in her eyes. I'm thinking about 300 innocent beings who are about to die while we debate politics, Sarah replied. She turned to Elder Thane. My ship can reach Tranquil Meadow in 90 minutes. We can drive off the raiders and protect your people. But I need your permission to act. Elder Thane looked stricken. The Velothi had built their entire civilization on the principle of nonviolence. To ask for military intervention went against everything they believed. Elder, Kira spoke softly, her musical voice trembling. My mentor, Gentlebrook, is on that station. She taught me that wisdom means adapting to new situations. Perhaps there are times when violence in service of protecting peace is not the same as violence for its own sake, but if we accept military aid, Elder Thane struggled with the concept, do we not become complicit in violence ourselves? Sarah moved closer to the towering alien, her voice gentle but urgent. Elder Thane, there's a difference between causing harm and preventing it. My people learned long ago that sometimes the greatest violence is doing nothing while innocents suffer. The comm system crackled with a desperate transmission from Tranquil Meadow. Through the static, they could hear the terror of the researchers as plasma fire lit up their peaceful station. The sound of a Velothi youngling crying for its parent cut through the signal like a knife. Elder Thane closed his great amber eyes and was silent for a long moment. When he opened them again, there was a steel in them that Sarah had not expected from such a peaceful species. Captain Chun, he said, his musical voice heavy with sorrow and determination, I give you permission to act. Save our people. Sarah was already running toward the docking bay. Dr. Rivera, you're with me. Elder Thane, Kira, monitor our communications. You might learn something about humanity today. The Defiance launched from Harmony Point like an arrow from a bow. Sarah had handpicked her crew from veterans who understood that sometimes you had to fight to protect peace. They jumped to hyperspace with grim determination, racing against time to save strangers they had never met. Captain, her tactical officer reported, sensors show 12 Krogar Raider ships. They're heavily armed and shielded. The research station's hull is already compromised in 3 sections. Any sign of Velothi casualties? Sarah asked. Unknown, but the raiders are demanding the researchers surrender their quantum research data. They're threatening to start executing hostages if they refuse. Sarah's eyes hardened. The Krogar were about to learn why humanity had survived every conflict in their violent history. All hands, this is the captain. We're about to engage a superior force to protect innocent beings we've never met. This is what we do. This is who we are. Let's show the galaxy what humanity stands for. As the Defiance dropped out of hyperspace near Tranquil Meadow, Sarah could see the graceful lines of the Velothi research station scarred by weapon fire. The Krogar Raiders were crude, angular ships bristling with guns, circling their prey like predators. This is Captain Sarah Chun of the Earthship Defiance. She broadcast on all frequencies. You are attacking civilians in violation of galactic law. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. The response was predictable, mocking laughter and a volley of plasma fire aimed at the Defiance. Sarah's crew responded with the efficiency of seasoned warriors, their shields absorbing the attack while their weapons found their marks. Back on Harmony Point, Elder Thane and Kira watched the battle unfold on the command center screens. They saw human ships dance between enemy fire with impossible grace, saw weapons that could have destroyed the research station instead surgically targeting the raiders' weapons and engines. They're not trying to destroy the enemy ships, Kira observed in wonder. They're disabling them. Even in battle, they show restraint, Elder Thane murmured. Perhaps there is more to these humans than we understood. The battle was fierce, but brief. The Krogar, expecting easy prey, found themselves facing an enemy that combined ferocity with precision. Within an hour, half their ships were disabled, and the rest were fleeing into deep space. Rescue teams transferred the wounded Velothi researchers to the Defiance's medical bay. Something remarkable happened. Human medics worked alongside Velothi healers, combining advanced technology with gentle care. Sarah watched her crew sharing their emergency rations with hungry researchers, saw her engineer teaching a young Velothi how to repair damaged systems. Your people, Elder Thane said to Sarah as they stood in the Defiance's observation lounge, they fight like warriors but care like healers. That's humanity, Sarah replied simply. We learned long ago that true strength isn't about how much damage you can cause, it's about how much damage you can prevent. Dr. Rivera joined them, his translation device barely keeping up with the excited chatter of Velothi researchers comparing notes with human scientists. Captain, I think we've started something here. These species complement each other perfectly. Velothi wisdom and human determination, their peaceful nature, and our protective instincts. Kira approached with her mentor, Gentlebrook, who had been rescued from the damaged station. The elderly Velothi's amber eyes were bright with gratitude and curiosity. Human Sarah. Gentlebrook spoke carefully, still learning to use names in the human manner. My student tells me your people believe in standing between danger and innocence. This is a concept we must learn more about, and we have much to learn from you, Sarah replied. Your people have achieved something we're still working toward, true internal peace. Perhaps together, we can protect that peace for others. As the Defiance and the Velothi ships traveled back to Harmony Point together, both species began to understand that they had found something precious in each other. The humans offered strength and courage, while the Velothi provided wisdom and perspective. But neither species knew that forces in the dark corners of the galaxy were already taking notice of their new friendship. Ancient enemies who thrived on chaos and conflict would soon see this alliance as a threat to their way of life. The meeting at Harmony Point had indeed changed everything, but the real test of this new friendship was yet to come. The test of character 3 months had passed since the rescue at Tranquil Meadow, and the relationship between humanity and the Velothi had grown stronger with each passing day. Captain Sarah Chin stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Joint Research Facility, orbiting the gas giant nebulas, watching human and Velothi engineers work side by side on projects that neither species could have imagined alone. The facility was a marvel of combined ingenuity. Velothi architectural harmony blended seamlessly with human engineering efficiency, creating spaces that were both beautiful and functional. Gardens floated in zero gravity next to laboratories where the laws of physics were being rewritten through cooperative research. The quantum resonance chamber is ready for testing, Dr. Marcus Rivera announced, entering the observation deck with barely contained excitement. Kira's harmonic calculations combined with our containment technology could revolutionize energy production across the galaxy. Sarah smiled, watching through the transparent aluminum as Kira Starweaver worked alongside human physicists, her purple markings bright with enthusiasm. The young Velothi had become something of a celebrity among human scientists, her unique perspective leading to breakthrough after breakthrough. Any word from the diplomatic mission to Serenity Prime? Sarah asked. The Velothi homeworld had invited a human delegation to address their High Council, an honor that had never been extended to any other species. Admiral Knox's delegation should be presenting to the Council today, Marcus replied. If all goes well, we might see the first formal alliance treaty between our species. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent chime from the communication console. The face of Admiral James Knox appeared on the screen, his usual calm demeanor replaced by obvious distress. Captain Chun, we have a situation. Knox began without preamble. The Krogar raiders have escalated their activities. They've taken hostages from both our colony at New Austin and the Velothi settlement at Peaceful Harbor. They're demanding technology exchanges and territorial concessions. Sarah felt her blood run cold. New Austin was home to 50,000 human colonists, including many families. Peaceful Harbor housed even more Velothi civilians, most of whom had never seen violence in their entire lives. What are their specific demands? Sarah asked, already moving toward the command center. They want our military shield technology and the Velothi quantum research, Knox replied. They've given us 72 hours before they start executing hostages. Captain, they have children, both human and Velothi younglings. The weight of those words settled over the facility like a dark cloud. Through the transparent walls, Sarah could see Velothi and human workers stopping their tasks, their faces reflecting the same horror and determination. Elder Thane Whisperwind arrived at the command center just as more details came through. The aged Velothi leader had been visiting the facility to observe the cooperation between their technicians to modify their equipment, her understanding of energy harmonics proving invaluable. Your people think in straight lines, she explained to Dr. Rivera, but energy moves in curves and spirals. If we match the natural flow instead of fighting it, we can achieve much more with much less power. Meanwhile, Elder Thane found himself in the unusual position of briefing Velothi volunteers on the realities of combat. Many had never even seen weapons before, but their natural intelligence and calm demeanor made them quick learners. Remember, he told them, we are not becoming warriors. We are becoming protectors. There is a difference. The human troops were initially skeptical about bringing civilians into a combat operation, but their doubts quickly evaporated when they saw what the Velothi could do. Their ability to sense emotional states allowed them to predict enemy movements with uncanny accuracy. Their understanding of technology enabled them to disable Krogar systems in ways that human hackers had never considered. It's like having mind readers and technical wizards all in one. Sergeant Maria Santos told Sarah, I've never seen anything like it. The rescue operation launched under cover of a simulated asteroid storm that the Velothi created using their harmonic technologies. Krogar sensors, calibrated for standard military jamming, couldn't penetrate the quantum interference patterns. New Austin, the human colony built into a series of interconnected domes on a harsh desert planet, the raiders had set up their command post in the central administrative complex. They held the human families in the recreation center, using them as living shields while they stripped valuable data from the colony's computer systems. The rescue team moved through the maintenance tunnels beneath the complex, guided by schematics that the Velothi had somehow intuited from the colony's energy flow patterns. Kira herself was part of this team, her harmonic sensors allowing her to detect the exact positions of hostages and raiders through the walls. 12 raiders on the main floor, she whispered to Sarah, her purple markings dim to avoid giving away their position. But there are children directly above them. The emotional resonance patterns suggest extreme fear and confusion. Sarah nodded, hand signaling her team to adjust their approach. The Velothi's ability to sense emotions was proving more valuable than any scanner. Meanwhile, at Peaceful Harbor, the Velothi settlement built among the crystalline formations of a tidally locked moon, Elder Thane led a combined team through the underground gardens that connected all the habitat domes. The raiders had made the mistake of assuming that a peaceful species wouldn't have detailed knowledge of their own defensive systems. The energy flow is disrupted in Dome 7, reported Young Branch, Elder Thane's grandson who had insisted on joining the rescue despite his youth. The raiders are using a power damper to keep the Velothi inside from contacting the outside. Can you restore it? Asked Lieutenant Commander Torres, the human team leader. Young Branch's markings brightened with confidence. Give me 60 seconds. The simultaneous assault on both locations began with the Velothi using their harmonic technologies to create focused sonic pulses that disrupted Krogar neural patterns. The raiders, expecting conventional weapons, were caught completely off guard by an attack that left them disoriented but unharmed. Human teams moved in with non-lethal weapons, following Sarah's specific orders to minimize casualties. The goal was rescue, not revenge. New Austin. Sarah's team encountered their first real resistance when the Krogar commander threatened to execute hostages if they didn't withdraw. That's when Kira stepped forward, her young voice carrying across the recreation center. "Your shields are down," she announced calmly. "Your weapons are disabled. Your communications are jammed. Your ships cannot move. Surrender now, and no one needs to be hurt." The Krogar commander snarled something in his harsh language, raising his weapon toward a human child. He never got the chance to fire. A precisely targeted sonic pulse from Kira's harmonic generator left him unconscious before he could pull the trigger. Peaceful Harbor. The rescue proceeded even more smoothly. The Velothi hostages, recognizing the harmonic signatures of their rescuers, began helping from the inside. Soon, Krogar raiders found themselves surrounded by civilians who seemed to know exactly where they were and what they were planning. How are they doing this? One raider demanded in confusion as his weapon was somehow deactivated by a Velothi youngling who touched the right circuit node. "They're thinking," Elder Thane replied calmly. "You should try it sometime." When the dust settled, both rescue operations had succeeded beyond all expectations. Every hostage was safe, most of the raiders were captured alive, and the combined human Velothi teams had suffered no serious casualties. But the real victory was deeper than tactical success. As Sarah watched human medics treating Krogar wounded while Velothi healers comforted traumatized hostages, she realized that something fundamental had changed. "We work well together," Kira observed, standing beside her with her purple markings bright with satisfaction and exhaustion. "More than well," Sarah replied. "We complete each other. Your people bring wisdom and understanding. Ours bring determination and protection. Together, we're stronger than the sum of our parts." Elder Thane approached them, his ancient eyes bright with a new understanding. "The High Council has reached a decision," he announced. "We wish to propose a formal alliance with humanity, not just for trade or research, but for mutual protection." The Guardian Alliance, Young Branch added, his youthful enthusiasm infectious. "A pact to protect peaceful beings throughout the galaxy." Dr. Rivera joined them, his excitement obvious. "The implications are staggering. Combined human and Velothi technology could revolutionize everything from medical care to space travel. And together, we could stand against any threat." But even as they celebrated their success, intelligence reports were coming in that would test their new alliance beyond anything they had yet faced. The Shadow Collective was no longer hiding in the dark sectors. Ancient ships were moving through hyperspace, heading for the heart of civilized space with an armada that dwarfed anything the galaxy had seen in 1,000 years. The gentle giants of Velothi Prime had chosen their side, and the real war was about to begin. The Alliance forged the War Council chamber aboard the flagship Harmony's shield buzzed with activity as representatives from dozens of species gathered around the holographic display. At the center of it all stood Captain Sarah Chun, now promoted to Admiral, and Elder Thane Whisperwind, his ancient wisdom guiding strategy alongside human military experience. "The Shadow Collective fleet is massive," reported General Patricia Stone, her weathered face grim as she manipulated the tactical display. "Our intelligence suggests over 300 capital ships, supported by thousands of fighters and support vessels. They're not just raiders anymore. This is a full-scale invasion force." The assembled delegates murmured in fear and dismay. Representatives from the peaceful Altarian Federation clutched their crystalline prayer beads. The insectoid harmony builders clicked their mandibles in distress. Even the usually stoic silicon minds flickered with concerned patterns across their metallic surfaces. "What do they want?" asked Ambassador Coral Song of the Aquatic Collective, her translation unit converting her sonar-based language into standard Galactic Common. Kira Starweaver, now wearing the ceremonial robes of a Velothi battle singer, a rank created specifically for her contributions to the rescue operation, stepped forward. Her purple markings pulsed with determination as she activated her analysis of captured Shadow Collective data. "They want to return the galaxy to what they call the natural order," Kira explained, her musical voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "According to their ideology, Peaceful civilizations are evolutionary dead ends that weaken the galaxy. They believe that only through constant conflict can species achieve true strength. Young Branch, now a full adult and bearing the title of Harmony Keeper, added his own disturbing findings. They've been systematically eliminating peaceful species for centuries, always making it look like natural disasters or random pirate attacks. The attacks on our research stations and colonies were just them testing our defenses. Sarah studied the enemy formation data with the eye of someone who had spent her entire career preparing for impossible odds. "They're not wrong about one thing," she said, causing shocked silence throughout the chamber. "Peaceful species are vulnerable to this kind of coordinated aggression. But they've made one critical error in their calculations." "Which is?" General Stone asked. "They assume that peaceful means defenseless," Sarah replied, her voice carrying the steel that had made her famous throughout human space. "They've never faced a galaxy where peaceful species are protected by those willing to fight for them." Elder Thane moved to stand beside Sarah, his towering form a testament to the unlikely partnership that had grown between their species. "The High Council of Velothi Prime has made its decision. For the first time in our 1,000-year history, we will participate in warfare, not as aggressors, but as guardians of peace itself." The announcement sent shockwaves through the assembled delegates. The Velothi had been legendary for their absolute pacifism. For them to take up arms, even in defense, represented a fundamental shift in galactic politics. "But how can we possibly stand against such numbers?" Ambassador Coralsong's sonar voice trembled with fear. "My people have no weapons, no warships. We are scholars and artists and dreamers. And that's exactly what makes you worth protecting," Sarah replied firmly. "Dr. Rivera, show them the fleet composition." Dr. Marcus Rivera, now bearing the title of Chief Xenological Advisor, activated the display showing the combined Guardian Alliance fleet. "Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all configurations," he announced with barely contained pride, "may I present the largest cooperative military force in galactic history." The display showed ships of every conceivable design. Human vessels bristled with weapons and armor, their angular lines speaking of centuries of military evolution. Velothi ships were graceful curves of energy and light, their harmonic technologies capable of disrupting enemy systems across vast distances. But surrounding them were hundreds of support vessels from dozens of peaceful species. "The Altarian Federation has provided shield generators more powerful than anything we've ever seen," Rivera continued. "The silicon mines have created tactical computers that can process battle data faster than any organic brain. The Harmony builders have constructed mobile repair stations that can rebuild damaged ships in hours instead of weeks." Sarah watched the faces of the delegates transform from despair to something approaching hope. "This is what the Shadow Collective doesn't understand," she said. "They see cooperation as weakness, but we've proven it's our greatest strength. Every species brings something unique to this alliance." The tactical briefing that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. Velothi harmonics specialists worked with human weapons engineers to create shield frequencies that could protect entire fleets. Altarian energy manipulators helped design power systems that could keep human weapons firing for days without pause. The silicon mines calculated battle scenarios with a precision that made victory seem possible even against overwhelming odds. But it was Young Branch who presented the most audacious part of the plan. "The Shadow Collective believes they're dealing with separate species that might cooperate temporarily," he explained, his youthful enthusiasm infectious. "They're preparing for a traditional space battle with traditional tactics. They're not prepared for true unity." Kira activated a new display showing energy harmonics that pulsed and flowed like living music. Every species has its own energy signature, its own natural frequency. But when we work together, when we truly harmonize, we can create resonance patterns that amplify our individual strengths exponentially. "It's never been tried on this scale," General Stone warned. "The power requirements alone could overload every system we have. Or it could give us the edge we need to protect Everything we hold dear, Elder Thane replied. My people have spent 1,000 years perfecting the science of harmony. If there was ever a time to test our theories, it is now. The Shadow Collective arrived at the edge of civilized space like a dark tide, their massive dreadnoughts bristling with weapons designed to crack planets. Their commander, an ancient being known only as the Destroyer, had led countless campaigns of extermination across the galaxy. To him, this was just another cleanup operation against species too weak to deserve existence. Analysis complete, reported his tactical officer, a scarred veteran of 100 conquered worlds. The enemy fleet is significantly smaller than anticipated. Mixed composition, heavy on support vessels. They appear to be attempting to protect multiple civilian evacuation routes. The destroyer's laugh was like grinding metal. Predictable. They value individual lives over strategic advantage. Begin the attack. Target the evacuation ships first. Let them watch their precious civilians die before we destroy their fleet. But as the Shadow Collective fleet advanced, something unexpected happened. The Guardian Alliance vessels began to sing. It started with the Velothi ships, their harmonic generators creating frequencies that resonated through space itself. Then the Altarian vessels joined in, their crystal matrices adding complexity to the pattern. One by one, every ship in the Allied fleet began contributing its own unique energy signature to a growing symphony of cooperation. What are they doing? The destroyer demanded as his sensors registered energy patterns. Unlike anything in their databases, the answer came in the form of a transmission from Admiral Sarachin. Her image appeared on the main screen of the Shadow Collective flagship, her uniform bearing the new insignia of the Guardian Alliance. A human hand and Velothi appendage clasped in friendship, surrounded by symbols from dozens of peaceful species. Commander of the Shadow Collective, Sarah began, her voice carrying clearly across the void, I am Admiral Sarachin of the Guardian Alliance. You have threatened peaceful beings under our protection. You have exactly one chance to withdraw and never return. The destroyer's response was to open fire with every weapon his flagship possessed. The massive energy beams raced across space toward the Guardian Alliance fleet, enough firepower to destroy a dozen planets. The beams struck a barrier of pure harmony and simply disappeared. The combined harmonic frequencies of the Allied fleet had created something unprecedented, a shield that didn't just absorb energy but converted it into power for their own systems. The more the Shadow Collective fired, the stronger the Guardian Alliance became. Impossible, the destroyer snarled, but his tactical displays were already showing the truth. The enemy fleet wasn't just defending, it was growing stronger with every attack. The battle that followed would be remembered for millennia. Human ships darted through the enemy formation like silver arrows, their weapons finding weak points that Velothi harmonics had identified. Altarian shield generators protected damaged vessels, while Harmony Builder repair ships worked miracles of engineering under fire. But it was the cooperation itself that proved most devastating to the Shadow Collective. They had built their entire military doctrine around the idea that species would ultimately put their own survival first. They couldn't comprehend an enemy that fought not for territory or resources, but for the simple right of others to exist in peace. Sir, a Shadow Collective tactical officer reported, his voice shaking, we're losing ships faster than we can target them. Their coordination is perfect. It's like they're reading our minds. In a sense, they were. The Velothi's natural empathy, amplified by the harmonic connection between all allied ships, allowed them to sense enemy intentions moments before they became actions. Combined with human tactical flexibility and the technical support of dozens of species, it created a military force that was genuinely greater than the sum of its parts. The turning point came when young Branch, serving aboard the Velothi flagship Song of Peace, detected a critical weakness in the Shadow Collective's command structure. Admiral Chun, he transmitted urgently, their ships are slave to the flagship's tactical computer. If we can disrupt the command vessel, the entire fleet will be paralyzed. Sarah didn't hesitate. All ships, focus fire on the enemy flagship. Velothi harmonics, target their command frequencies. Everyone else, Give us everything you've got. The combined assault on the destroyer's ship was overwhelming. Human plasma cannons, Velothi sonic disruptors, Altarian energy cascades, and weapons from a dozen other species converged on the massive dreadnought. But it was Kira, her battle singer training allowing her to weave harmony and destruction into a single devastating song, who delivered the final blow. Her harmonic pulse didn't destroy the Shadow Collective flagship, it convinced it to surrender. The ship's own AI, touched by the frequencies of peace and cooperation, turned against its violent programming and shut down all weapon systems. The destroyer's last transmission was one of pure bewilderment. How did you defeat us? We had superior numbers, superior firepower, superior position. You had everything except the one thing that matters most, Sarah replied. You forgot that the greatest strength in the universe isn't the power to destroy, it's the courage to protect. In the aftermath of the battle, as Shadow Collective survivors were taken prisoner and their ships were either destroyed or converted to peaceful purposes, the Guardian Alliance formalized what had already become reality. The treaty signing took place aboard Harmony's shield, with representatives from over 50 species adding their marks to the document. Elder Thane, now bearing the honorary title of First Guardian, spoke for all the peaceful species of the galaxy. Today we have learned that peace is not passive. True peace requires active protection, constant vigilance, and the willingness to stand between darkness and light. Sarah, accepting her new role as Supreme Commander of Guardian Forces, added her own thoughts. We've proven today that different doesn't mean incompatible. Every species, every culture, every individual has something unique to offer. When we work together, when we truly harmonize our strengths, there's no force in the universe that can stand against us. But it was Kira who spoke the words that would become the motto of the Guardian Alliance. We are the harmony of many voices, the strength of many hands, the courage of many hearts. We guard the peace not because it is easy, but because it is right. The months that followed saw the greatest period of cooperation and growth. In galactic history, human military academies began teaching Velothi harmony theory alongside tactical doctrine. Velothi children learned about courage and sacrifice from human heroes. The peaceful species of the galaxy, no longer defenseless, contributed their arts and sciences to a civilization that valued both beauty and strength. Dr. Rivera, now directing the Alliance Research Institute, made a discovery that summed up everything they had achieved. The quantum harmonics we've developed don't just work for military applications, he announced at a gathering of Alliance leadership. They work for everything: communication, transportation, energy production, even medical healing. When diverse systems work in true harmony, they become more than anyone imagined possible. The Shadow Collective threat wasn't entirely eliminated. Such darkness never truly dies. But scattered remnants found themselves facing not isolated targets, but a galaxy united in defense of peace. Raids that once would have devastated entire worlds now met coordinated responses from species that had learned to see each other as family. 5 years after the Great Battle, Sarah stood once again on the observation deck of what was now called Unity Station, watching ships from dozens of species work together in perfect harmony. Human children played alongside Velothi younglings in zero-gravity gardens. Scientists from peaceful species worked with human engineers to design wonders that neither could have created alone. Do you ever regret it? Kira asked, joining Sarah at the viewport. The young Velothi had grown into one of the most respected voices in the Alliance, her unique perspective bridging the gap between warrior and pacifist. Regret what? Sarah asked, showing us that we could fight. Some of our elders worry that we've lost our peaceful nature. Sarah smiled, watching a group of mixed-species children share a meal together, their laughter carrying through the station's corridors. Kira, you didn't lose your peaceful nature. You learned to protect it. There's a difference between being peaceful and being defenseless. Elder Thane approached them, his ancient form moving with the dignity of someone who had seen his people transform from vulnerable pacifists to confident guardians. The High Council has made a decision, he announced. We are establishing the Academy of Harmony on Serenity Prime. Human and Velothi instructors will teach the next generation that true peace comes not from the absence of conflict, but from the presence of justice. And courage, Young Branch added, joining their group. Don't forget courage. Sarah looked around at her friends, beings from different worlds, different species, different philosophies, all united by their commitment to protecting the innocent. No, she said finally, I don't regret anything. We've built something beautiful here, something worth protecting. As if summoned by her words, Admiral Knox's voice came over the communication system. All senior staff to the command center. We've received a distress call from the Andromeda sector. Unknown hostiles are attacking peaceful colonies. The group exchanged glances, but there was no hesitation in their response. They had learned who they were, what they stood for, and what they were willing to do to protect it. Duty call, Sarah said simply. Together, Kira added, her purple markings brightening with determination. Always together. Elder Thane confirmed as they walked toward the command center, ready to face whatever new threats emerged from the darkness. The gentle giants of Velothi Prime and the fierce protectors of Earth stood side by side. They had chosen each other, chosen to stand together against the chaos of an uncaring universe. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but it was also full of beauty, wonder, and beings worth protecting. And as long as the Guardian Alliance stood watch, peace would never again be defenseless. In the end, that was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. Not their weapons or their courage, but their understanding that true strength came from knowing what was worth fighting for. And the galaxy's gentlest race had chosen to stand with them, not because they had abandoned their peaceful nature, but because they had learned that sometimes peace must be actively defended. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter that day, as if the universe itself approved of what they had built together.